Hello and welcome to my review of Angron, the Daemon Primarch of Khorne for World Eaters for Warhammer 40,000 from Games Workshop. This miniature will cost you £95 and consists of only 77 pieces. The structure of this review is as follows. I'll have a look at the miniature up close, look at all of the detail, then we'll go through the spare parts, which there are only 3. I'll go through some size comparisons with other Primarchs and a whole host of Chaos miniatures. Then I will go through all of his rules. So, first things first, the price, £95 for 77 parts. It's only a 2-sprue kit, which is the same as Techless, but Techless is now £10 more. Techless is £105. However, Techless does have a few fewer parts. Compared to the other Daemon Primarchs, such as Mortarion. Mortarion is the same price, £95, and consists of 1 more extra part, 78. However, I do feel that the detail is better on Mortarion, and I prefer the model. A little disclaimer, I wasn't going to pick up Angron or any of the World Eaters if it wasn't for this channel. And I can't pick up all of the new releases without all of your support. So I want to say a massive thank you to everybody that supports this channel any way they can. The other Daemon Primarch, Magnus, is also the same price at £95. Not quite sure how many pieces Magnus consists of because they don't disclose that. He is similar size, maybe a little bit bigger than Mortarion. So this is, undoubtedly the smallest of the 3 Daemon Primarchs that we now have for Warhammer 40,000. If you'd like to see how I got on with building Angron, I did build him in a 3-hour live stream. If you just search on the playlists Warhammer live streams, you'll find that video. But let's have a look at the detail itself then. So he's a nice looking miniature, he's not too bad. Definitely captures the feel of Khorne and of Angron himself. He's a little bit bigger, just a little bit bigger than his Forge World resin Primarch model that Forge World released probably like a decade ago or so now. He wasn't too difficult to put together. It really is up to you if you want to build him completely or go for sub-assemblies. I would probably say sub-assemblies because there's a lot of parts and detail that you can't really get at once you've glued the whole miniature together. You might want to leave off the shoulder pauldrons as well. There are a few gaps, like there's a gap running along the centerpiece of the tail, which detracts a little bit. And there's not enough, I don't think, detail on the wings. I think there should be more detail. Maybe I'm just spoilt with Mortarion and then Sanguinius and things. The weapons look big and chunky. This big old sword on the chains, and then this big axe and this big chain axe as well. And you've actually got like little skulls in there. I'm not sure what skulls they are. They can't be human skulls. They're just too small for that. But maybe they're mice skulls, I don't know. But you've got plenty of skulls on the base. I mean, you can't really have a, Daemon Primarch of Khorne without loads of skulls, so all that's missing really is a load of blood. You get 2 head options, or sort of face options, and this leads me neatly to the spare parts. So you also get this face for him, where his teeth, his mouth will be closed. I think we actually have an image there, if you can see that, of the variant, they call it. And of course, because it's a variant, you'll need a different tongue that you put in there, which obviously with his mouth closed you won't be able to see it, and then different cables that just attach to that head. I think there could have been more on the base. I know there's quite a few skulls and things, but compared to Mortarion's base, I think there could be more going on, definitely. And I think he could be bigger. I wanted to see him bigger. He's supposed to be able to kind of swallow people whole and things. And at the moment, it's hard pressed to believe that. But maybe his mouth and jaw and everything just, you know, extends like a snake when he does those things. But yeah, he's supposed to be able to eat people whole, and, you know, they'd be able to see each other once they're in his stomach acid, just for a brief moment before they die agonizingly. But yeah, there's enough detail. That's the thing. I would have liked to have seen more, but there's enough detail. Forge World produce a miniature that is very similar to this, called Kabanda, which is a completely different, you know, Khorne demon that loves to eat blood angels. So I guess you could proxy Kabanda. You know, you're not going to have the chainsword kind of axe, and you're not going to have the butcher's nails, but I guess you could probably do that. However, you're paying a premium for that model. That model is £215, so it's whether you think it's worth an extra £120, really. But I think that they would go quite well together. And that's all I've really got to say about the miniature and the detail and things. It wasn't too difficult to put together at all. As I say, watch the live stream and you'll see for yourselves. So, size comparisons then. Whoa, have I got a treat for you guys. Firstly, I think the size comparison that everybody wants me to make is with Mortarion. Right here. Here he is. As you can see, Mortarion is bigger. That is mainly because he is like floating up off the base. I mean, if you put him like feet to feet, they're very similar. I'd probably say Angron is like bigger and chunkier if you put Mortarion on Angron's base. In terms of base size, both of the bases are exactly the same size. I don't know why, but in my head I thought that Mortarion's base was a bit bigger, but it's not. One thing I will say is the size is huge, you know, compared to that axe. And the wings, again, the wings just are stronger on Angron. Maybe they don't have as much detail, but they're just stronger looking. Whereas Mortarion's look, you know, feathered, they look decayed, as you'd expect, really. But if you look at the shoulder pauldrons and things, shoulder pauldrons are actually bigger on Angron, and so is the head, as well as the legs. They're just bigger, thicker, more mutations and things. But that's the comparison I wanted to make between both of them in this whole review. I don't own Magnus. If anyone wants to send me Magnus, that'd be absolutely fantastic. And of course I'll do a comparison with him. So the next kind of comparison I thought I could make would be with Horus Ascended. Now, I would say these are, in terms of the time scale, I know that Angron is you know, 40k at the moment, but in terms of size, I'd say both of these are very similar. Maybe Angron in his Daemon Primarch form was bigger in the Horus Heresy, not quite sure. Maybe because of things, he's a bit smaller now, but this is the size difference between them both if you wanted to have them both in your collection, I guess. So there's Horus Ascended. Yeah, I mean, that's fine, I think. Size-wise, you'd expect a demon to be that much bigger and chunkier, and Horus is a decent size himself, really. So there you go. That's where they measure up. Another comparison would be a Demon Prince right here. This is obviously the Age of Sigmar one, but nothing's stopping you using this one in 40k. I will be picking up another Demon Prince model, putting all the 40k kind of armour and things on it, but that gives you an idea. I think they both go together quite well. If you wanted to have like a Khorne World Eater Demon Prince, that would be fine. Comparison with Be'lakor, for some reason, I know I'm throwing out these Age of Sigmar comparisons here, but you know, in terms of chaos and demons, this might be worthwhile comparison. Once again, they're both on exactly the same size base. Be'lakor's wings have arguably more detail. There's more rips and tears, and there's more, obviously, you know, loads more skulls and chains and things. So yeah, you could have them in the same force. So that's Be'lakor for you. Both lovely, lovely miniatures. Obviously Be'lakor is absolutely incredible. And then if you wanted to reenact certain scenes, I guess, they're sanguineous. So yeah, they both work pretty well together as well. And some more size comparisons with some actual new World Eaters miniatures. So I do have here an Exalted and an Invocatus. So that's where they measure up. You know, even the Exalted hold their own with the size of Angron there. And the Invocatus goes up to, well, past his head. So it gives you an idea of just how big the Invocatus model is. So that's great. Compared to some other Chaos Space Marine models, I've got the Khorne Terminator, which is like the size of the Terminator. I thought they'd bring out some new Khorne Terminators, but they didn't. They brought out the Exalted instead. But that's where that guy measures up. We've also got a standard Chaos Space Marine Terminator if you wanted to have some Khorne ones in there. We've got a Baden right here. Gives you an idea of the size of a Baden if you wanted to have a Baden and Mortarion and Angron all in a force. Quite disgusting. And then I've got a little cultist as well. So yeah, maybe he could eat one of them, maybe, possibly. But yeah, that's giving you an idea of where Angron measures up. If you don't have Mortarion or Be'lakor in your force, Angron is definitely going to be the largest model in your collection. And the final comparisons I always like to make just with the 3 miniatures in all of the reviews, which is the standard Space Marine or Legacy Space Marine Primaris and Slimarbo. So as you can see, you know, it really does dwarf a normal Primaris. So if you're fighting against Primaris, and they even have like a Redemptor Dreadnought or something, Angron's going to be the biggest miniature on the table, unless your opponent brings some kind of Imperial Knight or Rogue Idol. There's an Imperial Knight next to Angron. Angron's just a little bit taller to an Imperial Knight. If anything, it just shows you how large Imperial Knights are, really. Okay, so the last part of my review revolves around the rules for Angron, and you'll find him in your brand new World Eaters Codex for 9th edition. He's a Lord of War choice, and he's a power points cost of an 18, and he will cost you 360 points just for him. He's one of these units where the profile is affected by the number of wounds he has remaining. So he starts off with 18 wounds, and if he's got 10 plus wounds remaining, his movement speed is 16 inches. His weapon skill and ballistic skill are both 2+. His strength is 9, toughness 7, 12 attacks, leadership 10, and a save of 2+. Now I would have thought that the least number of wounds remaining, that would have made him kind of angrier, an angrier Ron, and therefore he'd get like more attacks and, you know, better toughness and things like that. But that's not the case. It's the opposite of what you might think. If he has between 6 to 9 wounds remaining, his movement speed drops to 12 inches and his attacks drop to 10. And then if he's only got between 1 and 5 wounds, then his movement drops all the way down to 8 inches and his attacks drop to 8 as well. Angron is equipped with Samni Arius and Spine Grinder. Your army can only include 1 Angron model. So Samni Arius and Spine Grinder, it's basically 2 weapons, but jointly they've got 2 profiles. So you can hit with a Skull Taking Slash, which is a melee weapon, which is a strength +5, so that'd be 14, AP -4, and damage D3 +3. So that's horrific, you know, with the 12 attacks there. Or he can choose to attack with a Bloodletting Sweep, which is a melee weapon, strength of the user, which is still good, it's still 9. AP drops to -3 though, damage is only 1, but you can make 3 hit rolls instead of 1. So he's hitting with strength 9, AP -3 for 36 attacks. That's insane. So he can just go in and cause a lot of damage with the 12 attacks, or he can go in and just sweep out 36 attacks at AP -3, which is amazing. Abilities: Blood Tithe, Lord of the Arena. In your command phase, select 1 friendly World Eaters core or World Eaters character unit within 6 inches of this model. Until the start of your next command phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, you can re-roll the hit roll. That's brilliant. Armour of the Blood Spattered Brass. This model has a 4+ invulnerable save, so he's got a 2+ normal and a 4+ invulnerable. Wrathful Presence. In your command phase, select one of the following abilities. This model has that ability until the start of your next command phase. Infectious Rage. While a friendly World Eater's core unit is within 6 inches of this model, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of models in that unit. Glorious Bloodletting. While another friendly World Eater's unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, reroll hit roll of 1. Or Righteous Slaughter. While a unit within 6 inches of this model, that unit cannot fall back. So you just pick one of those Wrathful Presence command abilities. Warlord trait. If your army is Battleforged, this model must be your Warlord. If more than one model in your army has a rule to this effect, then one of these models must be your Warlord. If this model is your Warlord, it has the following Warlord trait, the Red Angel. While an enemy unit with the objective secured ability is within 6 inches of this Warlord, it loses that ability. Keywords: Chaos, Khorne, Heretic Astartes, Butcher, Astartes, World Eaters. Keywords: Monster, Character, Fly, Supreme Commander, Daemon Primarch, Warp Locus, Angron. So there you go. He's got no ranged weaponry, but he is very fast at 16 inches. He's very survivable with the toughness 7 and the 18 wounds and a save of 2+ and a 4+ invulnerable. Games Workshop did an article on their website where they pitted him against many different units, and 90% of the time he was victorious. So yeah, if you decide to spend all those 360 points, you're going to get your value from him as a unit in the game if you're able to get him into close combat. He is a big unit, he's very identifiable, and your opponent will want to take him down from range as quickly as possible. Of course, you know, his 2+ normal and his 4+ invulnerable with those 18 wounds, it's going to take a while to whittle those down. However, if you use the Blood Tithe, when he is removed from battle, you can take him, you can move him into Blasphemous Reserves with 8 wounds remaining, and then he's no longer considered to be destroyed, and he can be set up again in your reinforcement step as if it has a Warp Strike ability. So even when you take him out, he has the potential of coming back with 8 wounds. What a scary prospect that is. So yeah, use that in your strategy if you're going to be using him. What do you guys think of the model and the rules? Thank you for your patience of waiting for this review to come out. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. Blood for the Blood God.